South Korea-United States relations refers to international relations between South Korea and the United States. Relations commenced in 1950, when the United States helped establish the modern state of South Korea, also known as the Republic of Korea, and fought on its UN-sponsored side in the Korean War. During the subsequent 4 decades, South Korea experienced tremendous economic, political and military growth, and significantly reduced U.S. dependency. South Korea has a long military alliance with the United States, aiding the U.S. in every war since the Vietnam War, and most recently during the Iraq War. At the 2009 G20 London Summit, U.S. President Barack Obama called South Korea one of America's closest allies and greatest friends. In 1989, South Korea was among the first batch of countries to be designated as a major non-NATO ally. According to academics David Shamb and Michael Yahuda, there are currently several security factors shaping the alliance. Relations between the United States and South Korea generally strengthened under conservative, pro-American administrations like Lee Myung-bak. However, with the recent turmoil from the deployment of THAAD, the U.S. pulling out from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and ongoing cost-sharing disputes in regards to the American bases stationed in the country, the relationship has been strained. The COVID-19 pandemic may also put further strain on relations, as any significant spread would mandate escalation of border controls against American visa holders, as well as comments by U.S. President Donald Trump, who said that he did not like dealing with South Korean President Moon Jae-in while simultaneously calling the South Koreans terrible people. However, signs indicate SK-US relations may be simultaneously improving, as cultural exchange such as the talk program, developments in media partnership and a strong trade in goods and services. South Korea is also a top destination of U.S. military hardware, with a recent deal in August 2019 for Seahawk helicopters topping $800 million. The current U.S. ambassador to South Korea, Harry Harris, arrived in Seoul on July 7, 2018. The post had been vacant since President Donald Trump took office in January 2017. Harris is the former head of the U.S. military's Pacific Command. Leaders of South Korea and the United States from 1950. The United States and Korea's Joseon dynasty established diplomatic relations under the 1882 Treaty of Peace, Amity, Commerce, and Navigation, and the first U.S. diplomatic envoy arrived in Korea in 1883. U.S.-Korea relations continued until 1905, when Japan assumed direction over Korean foreign affairs. In 1910, Japan began a 35-year period of colonial rule over Korea. Following Japan's surrender to the Allies in 1945, at the end of World War II, the Korean peninsula was divided at the 38th parallel into 2 occupation zones, with the United States in the south and the Soviet Union in the north. Initial talks in 1945–6 to achieve a unified, independent Korea were not successful, and in 1948 2 separate nations were established, the Republic of Korea in the south, and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north. In 1949, the United States established diplomatic relations with the Republic of Korea. Cross-border skirmishes and raids at the 38th parallel escalated into open warfare when the North Korean forces invaded South Korea on June 25, 1950. In response, 16 member countries of the United Nations, including the United States, came to the defense of South Korea. It was the first significant armed conflict of the Cold War with extensive deployment of US and other troops. Los Angeles Times, June 25, 2010. Following the end of World War II, the United States established a bilateral alliance with South Korea instead of establishing a multilateral alliance with South Korea and other East Asian countries. Moreover, the U.S. alliance with South Korea would consequently have three functions. First, it would serve as part of a network of alliances and military installations designed to ring the Soviet threat in the Pacific. Second, it would deter a second North Korean attack, with U.S. ground troops serving as the tripwire, guaranteeing U.S. involvement. Third, it would restrain the South from engaging in adventurism. The United States and South Korea are allies under the 1953 Mutual Defense Treaty. Under the agreement, U.S. military personnel have maintained a continuous presence on the Korean peninsula. South Korea and the United States agreed to a military alliance in 1953. They called it the relationship forged in blood. In addition, roughly 29,000 United States Forces Korea troops are stationed in South Korea. In 2009, South Korea and the United States pledged to develop the alliance's vision for future defense cooperation. Currently, South Korean forces would fall under United States control should the war resume. This wartime control is planned to